All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing the Unit 2 test preview. Now here's how we're going to do this, okay? What I'll have at the top of each section is some information that might be helpful, maybe for a note card, maybe for just your use as you're walking through here. Remember, you can pause me at any time, so if I get away from that, you can always jot it down, kind of come back to it. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the odds on this preview. There are answers to the evens available online or in class. And then as we're working through some of this together, I don't mind doing some with you either, but I just didn't want to give you every single problem done. So without further ado, let's rock and roll. So we've got our exponent rules up here at the top of the page. Okay? When we multiply, we're adding exponents. When we're dividing, we're subtracting. Bigger minus smaller. Negative exponents, we flip them to make them positive. And if we see parentheses with an exponent on the outside, we multiply the exponents. We distribute them through. So this first one, be careful. Just because you see a minus here doesn't mean that it's a negative and we're flipping it. It's exponents. You're like, well, okay, so multiply. Am I adding the exponents? No. They're different bases. They're different variables. We're like, well, what? I can't do anything then. It's just like, do I just rewrite it? Sometimes that's all you can do, and that is all you can do in this case. So it's something you've got to watch for a little bit. Now, other things to watch for. Okay, number 3. Power to power. We're going to multiply the exponents. Now, here's what you've also got to keep in mind. I'm going to bring in the calculator to help us a little bit here. Okay, we can do 3 times 4 is 12, y to the 12th. But what about the negative 1 in front? If I keep that in parentheses, because it is, and take that to the 4th power, I get positive 1. So I've got to make sure I change that. Then I also need to make sure, now that I'm to this point, I'm multiplying with a like base, I can add my exponents. 12 plus 4 would be y to the 16th. And 1 times negative 1 would be negative 1 y to the 16th. Or just negative y to the 16th. Okay? So again, distribute, multiply, we're set. Okay. A little bit bigger ones as we get a little further down here. So simplify. Your answer should contain only positive exponents. So no negatives when we get to the end. So here's my suggestion. Up top, there's really nothing to do. I'm just going to leave those alone for the moment here. Move myself a little further here. There we go. Down below, 2 times 2 is 4. If I don't see an exponent, we assume it's 1. So x to the 1 plus 3 is 4. Y to the 2 plus 1 is 3. We're making progress. But now, okay, here's my x's. Find the bigger exponent. Subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. And that tells me where my answer goes. Y, 3 minus 3 is 0. Anything to the 0 is like it just canceled out. But I can't circle this as my answer and call it good. Why not? Because then we'd assume this is up top. If you ever run into a situation like we do here, where there's nothing left at the top at the end, we got to put a 1 there. Otherwise, we don't know that that's going to be in the denominator, my 4x squared instead. So I've got to make sure I get it there. 7, same ideas as before. I don't like negative exponents. So let's see here. 4u to the first, v to the negative 4th flips. That's how it becomes positive. Negative 3 is not a negative exponent. It does not flip. U to the negative 1, that flips. V to the negative 2, that flips. And now we're just in cleanup mode. So let's see, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Again, those aren't exponents. Don't do exponent rules and add those. We just got done chatting about this. U to the 1 minus 1 is 0, so they go away. And these, since they're on the same level, we're multiplying. V to the 4 plus 2 is V to the 6th. We're set. Now, when we get to the simplify part here, okay, here's all I need you to do. We're going to break this into pieces. Okay, so we got 64 to the 3/2 times k. What do we do when we go power to power again? We multiply the exponents. So 2, or 2 over 1 times 3 over 2. So let's chat about how we're going to do this. So first things first, 64, 3/2 is an exponent. So there's my exponent key right above divide. We write that number down. Then you can either use the calculator to do 2 times 3/2 in parentheses. Is perfectly fine. Or you could multiply across and simplify what you get. You get the same thing. And we're good there. Okay. So with any of these, again, you're just taking the number to that exponent, and then you're multiplying the exponents for your variable. All calculator stuff. Don't need to be messing with other things like that. Okay? So again, if there's anything here that you're kind of wondering, like, take one of the problems maybe and just jot down how you split it, or write yourself some words to do that. I've been saying this is all about us learning study habits through this, and that's what I really want to make sure we're doing. Okay, I've done a couple of those already. I don't need to keep doing those. Okay, write the expression in radical form. Okay, so right now it's in exponent form. When we say radical form, we want something that looks like these. So how do I do that? Well, in this case, on 15, we take whatever our base is. Okay, so if it's 2b, if it was just a variable by itself, we'd put whatever that is under here. And then this is my exponent, and this is my root. So it seriously is just realizing exponent root and just putting those two values in the right place. You do not have to simplify this. I don't care if you don't make that 8b to the 3rd, but just get it into that format. And so we also then can do the opposite, go from exponential back to back to exponent. So here, there's my exponent, there's my root. X to the exponent over root. And we're set. We did make one change this year, okay? That one change was breaking down radicals in different ways. So we are skipping 18 to 21, okay? You will not need to know that for the test because we didn't do a lesson on it specifically this way. That'll come later. We'll deal with that then. Okay, factoring. Okay, use your yellow help sheet if you need to. I'll reference it a little bit here and there. Always make sure there's not something that goes into every term. Like, okay, these both have n, Hardy, but that doesn't. I can't take out an n. Well, Mr. H, these are both divisible by 3, but that's not. So I don't have anything I can take out. So we're multiplying to get the number on the end. We're adding to get the number in the middle. And as we've said over and over with these, there's always going to be 2 clues in every problem before you start worrying about numbers. Multiply numbers in negative. Means there's one of each sign. Middle coefficient value is negative, which means the bigger number is going to be negative. So you can use your head to figure out factors of 54. You could use the calculator. I'll do that on a different one. Or you can bust out your factoring help sheet, find a 54. Okay, here's a 54. 9 and 6. Now, are 9 and 6, can they get to 3? Yes. Okay. The bigger number is negative. So let's check this out. 6 times negative 9 is negative 54. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. Oh, I did an even instead of an odd. Well, so goes. Okay, so goes. We'll do an extra odd because Hardy went bonehead and forgot how to count by odds. So I get down here, same idea. Negative here, one of each sign. Positive in the middle tells me the positive number is going to be bigger. So since I'm doing an extra one, let's at least get another way of doing this out here. You still could use the chart. Okay, that's absolutely a possibility. But if you ever wanted to go to the calculator, what we're going to do is we're just going to start dividing numbers in, with the goal being, after I've done a few, to look back and say, hey, can I add or subtract 2 and 20 to get to 6? No. What about 4 and 10? Ooh. 10 minus 4 is 6. Bigger number's positive. I get my answer. Again, practice is what's going to make perfect on this stuff. I ain't kidding. Okay, I've already done 2 of those now, so I'm skipping 25. So you're like, dang, 27. So I'm going to jump off track one more time here, okay? I'm going to go 26, 29, 31 here. So 26. First thing on top of the factoring sheet. Are there any common terms? Does anything divide into all of those? Usually we check the first number. Sometimes that'll be the winner. And it is. So that 5 isn't gone. We're just dividing it out of each term. And what's left, and that's a 6, not a B, is another diamond problem. Multiply, add. All positives, don't lose your 5. Multiplies to 56 and adds to 15. Now, I think a lot of you out there, what's the first thing you think of when you think about multiplying to get 56? 8 and 7. So that happens to work here. Okay, but don't forget that 5, or your answer is going to be different. It's going to be off. Speaking of common factors, I come to 29 and I notice some stuff. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. They both have x. It's true. What about numerically? So some of you may be like, well, 10 divided by 4, that doesn't go in even. Okay, but it doesn't have to be one of the numbers always. Is there a number that divides into 4 and into 10? Yes, 2 does. So sometimes you can pull more than one thing out. So 2 times 5 is 10. I need 2 x's. I already got one here, so I need one more. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and I already got the x. Since there's no squared left here, that's all I can do this time is take out the common factor. Now, that won't be true every time, but it is sometimes. And then our last option here, we're going to do a doozy to go over it, is slide and divide. Now, when do we have to do slide and divide? When I can't take out a common term and there's still a number in front of x squared. So if you've misplaced your card or something, maybe you put this on your note help for this particular test. So when we slide, we mean multiply. Multiply the 7 down. Woo, we got some big numbers this time. Okay. The only thing I can say good so far is everything's plus. So, 112. Ugh. All right, let's start dividing some numbers in. Now, as I do this, I want to keep track of what it is that I'm looking for, because I could go too far sometimes. So I need 2 numbers that add up to 58. Oh, wait. 2 and 56 add up to 58. See, I didn't have to do much there at all. However, don't circle that. We're not done. Slide, and now we divide by that. Oh my gosh, I already learned how to write. 56. If it goes in nice, 56 divided by 7 is 8. We just write it. If it doesn't go in nice, if I get a decimal when I do it, I just take the denominator and slide it back in front. We've done that a lot. You can take any of the last couple of quiz previews and see some more of that at work as well, along with some of the lessons we did, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this video for a little bit. All right, now back into the more recent stuff. Graphing. Reminder, graphing. Shifts. For the love people. With the number of you that keep asking me on reviews and the tests and stuff like that, what's the shift? Write this on your card. Left and right, even with the signs there, put it down. Because now when you look at one like 33 and you look and you go, okay, this is up 3. You go up 3, you put a point. There's your vertex. What is the point? When you're making a vertex, your x value, your left and right, is what you're writing first. I didn't go left or right any. So that's 0. But I went up 3. So if you write your shifts, that's going to tell you how to deal with this, and it's going to tell you how to plot that. And then, when you go to make your graph, not a line, my a value is 1 over 1. Opening up 1 over 1. Both directions. And read the instructions, domain and range. That is the critical point, your vertex. That tells you where your domain and range start. My domain is my x values. There's the x value of my vertex, 0 to infinity. There's the y value of my vertex, which goes with range, 3 to infinity. It all comes together when you practice it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Not saying. I'm just saying. Okay. One more of these. Okay. 35. So let's see here. We got left 1 inside, up 4. 1, up 4. Vertex, left 1, up 4. Or I can just look at the coordinate point I made. Okay, either one works. Again, this time, I don't see a number in front. So we're just going to go up and over 1. Now, if this was a number like 3, okay, in front, I'd go up 3 and over 1. If it was negative 2, I'd go down 2 and over 1, because if it's negative, it opens downward. Again, just things to ponder. Okay, square root functions. These are the graphs that kind of look like that. If you're doing Team No Calc, if you're doing Team Calc, put this right in the calculator. Okay, to get square root, you hit second in x squared, that'll get you square root if you're trying to go Team Calc. If you're going Team No Calc, those are our base points we use. We make them little itty bitty tiny at the start. And then we use our transformations or our shifts to make our actual graph. Right, 3 down 2, 3 down 2. Arrow only to the right, not to the left. This isn't continuing past there. It just stops right there. And once again, that first point, is telling me everything I need to know for domain and range. I went right 3. That's my x value. This point is down 2 at -2. The shifts can also tell you about your domain and range. If you don't have an up or a down, or if you don't have a left or a right, it's just a 0. So just some things to ponder. I can do it visually. I can do it this way. And as you have seen before, and I will pop it up here once. If you pull your chart, check out the 2 values right after that last error message. X value, Y value. Okay, tells you the beginning values of domain and range. Just putting it out there. And I think, is this finally already? Oh no, we're not finally. I haven't done circles yet. What am I talking about? Okay, cubed roots. There's a cube. Here's our base values for cubed root. If you're going to put it in the calculator, you hit math, you go down to number 4, and then you can type it in. So, got to get my zoom fixed here. You're like, hey, what if my calculator's jacked up like this sometime? It happens. We just want to go to number 6 under zoom here at the top, zoom standard. That'll get me back to a normal 10 by 10. So I make my little tiny dots. Then again, do the shifts. Left 4, down 2. You're like, Hardy, that's way off in left field. Yes, it is. I agree. And the easiest domain and range ever, because arrows on both ends. We're set with some of those. Oh, we're getting near the end. All right, Hardy's going to go up to 43, because I do not want overkill on this stuff. I want you to actually be able to use it. So there's my standard form of a circle. Okay, my center is H and K. So here's H and K. Here's my R. I'm just plugging into this. So basically, it's just change the sign on H, so that becomes -14. Change the sign on my K with Y there, so +16. Don't get your squareds. And then this is R squared. This would be 2 to the 2nd power, which is 4. That's it. No other math, no multiplying anything, no nothing. Just plug them in and call it good. And finally, is this the finale? This is the finale. Identify the center and radius. Sketch the graph. Okay. Center. Opposite of 4 is -4. There is no value with Y. We do 0. Now this gets more interesting. My radius squared is 5. Well, if I take the square root, that's not a perfect square, Hardy. What the heck are we going to do here? Square root of 5 is 2.2. So we're basically going to go 2 and a little extra each of the 4 directions here. And do our best to circle that up. Now, I'm not done. Don't shut me off yet. So here then, just as an FYI, if you are looking for other things, you work through this, you're like, okay, Hardy, it's great, you did a problem. I need more than this. Okay, so you come here to classwork. Let's say factoring was your just awful thing. You're like, ugh. I'm hoping for 2 things. One, I'm hoping as you've been doing your note packet, you've been putting dates on top of things. Because then it's a whole lot easier, like if you see factoring and it's like factoring was on 10/19. Oh, it'd be in this week. Now, let's see if Hardy was lucky and remembered this off the top of his head. Okay, so here was, if I needed more help with absolute value. Okay, maybe I come here. It's something to look at. You're like, no, that's not what I needed help with. Hardy, where's the rest of these? Well, let's go back to the end of quarter one, because we've been here for a while. Okay, factoring again. You can find videos of lessons to hear me go through it again if you are an auditory learner. If you're visual, you should be able to look at the notes and look at the examples and work your way through. But if you need the verbalization, you may have to go back. Now, if you haven't been dating anything, well, you're just going to be searching like I was right there because I didn't have my normal packet in front of me. But you've got to use the tools on some of this stuff. It can't just be for 45 minutes, whatever Hardy feeds me, I take. You got to keep working at it. Okay, keep making your note, your half note card here that you've got to use on the test. Keep coming with the questions, but you've got to put in your due diligence too. Okay? So again, the rest of the answers that I did not do, okay, Unit 2 practice keys, here they are. Poke on that. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, Unit 2 test preview, there's the evens. There's the answers. You've got everything here. You can check it out, but if you have more questions, let me know. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.